What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ, Bucky, and Baldy with, by the way, Baldy, where the heck is my Baldy Breakdown t-shirt, man? You know my address.
Yeah, I guess I got to get these out before the holiday season begins.
I gave you your suits back. What do you want from me?
That's true.
Bucky, I had at least three of Baldy's like Neiman Marcus nice suits.
Oh yeah.
That when I cleaned out my locker, this is a couple years ago, somehow they got put in my locker, and it didn't take me long to realize they don't fit me. And so they just hung in my locker. And so then just like a stealth bomber, like I snuck into the locker room one day and just put those suits right back in his locker.
You know,
I say, Baldy,
I got to get those. I'm glad you saved them, DJ, because they were all in layaway. Like I'm paying for those.
So, anyways, Baldy's got a sick Baldy Breakdowns t-shirt, so we got to get those distributed. But let's jump into some games here, guys, and knock some of these things out. Baldy, let's start first of all the Sunday nighter. I watched the first part of this game, and you thought, okay, Pittsburgh. Yeah. Pittsburgh's they're gonna hold on to this division. It's kind of been gift wrap for them. They're not gonna blow it. They're in good spot here. And then, man, you go to the bathroom and come back, and you're like, oh my gosh, the defense has reared its ugly head once again.
Yeah, well, they can't tackle. I mean, it's been a problem now. I mean, Tucker Kraft got 131 yards after, it was 143 yards, after he caught the ball. Like it was one big play after another. And they're like simple flat routes. It's not like they're throwing the ball down the field. They're throwing a 5-yard flat route and nobody can tackle them. You can't get them to the ground. It was an issue against Cincinnati the last time they played. So, but Jordan Love played. Played great. They protected very well. You didn't hear TJ's name or Highsmith or Herbert. You didn't hear anybody. Like they got the shots down to Justin Watson. They got their chunk yards, and then they finished. They finished, when they had to finish, and it was a impressive second half offensively. And then Micah in the group, they got after. Like the one thing about Aaron, and it happened last year, like he's just in a hurry to get rid of the ball. So he's not going to get big chunk plays. He wants to get it out quick. And if he's got to hold it, and Micah's there, or Rashawn Gary, like once they start chasing him, you could basically say, okay, it's either going to be basically no yards or a throwaway. And that's kind of how the offense just stalled in the second half.
What's interesting when you talk about both defenses, we're talking about Pittsburgh's first. Mike Tomlin in the offseason or in the preseason was really adamant about, we got these guys so we can lock up and play man-to-man. And I am a man-to-man fan, but we know in man-to-man, you have more explosive plays that you can give up because in space, one-on-one tackling is coveted at a premium. And if you don't get guys down, you see the big plays. And when I'm really looking at the Steelers, it's not only the tackling, but it's being able to be sticky with your guys down the field. They have all these guys that they brought in. They thought they were going to have a shut-them-down defense. And we're seeing big play after big play, which is a problem. Conversely, the Green Bay Packers want to play vision and break. They want to keep the ball in front. Last year, they wanted to bring zone pressure. But when you go and get a guy like Micah to go with Rashawn Gary and some of the other guys they have up front, now you can have a 4-man rush, leave 7 in coverage, and just sit in zone and wait and watch. And when you have Aaron Rodgers, who fears the pass rush, with Michael Parsons, those guys winning their one-on-ones, it is problematic because they can take away everything that you want to do without really putting their defense at risk.
Their 3 losses, 31 points, 33 points, 35 points. This is not like, the defense is falling off. This is like bad.
It's dramatic.
And Baldy and I were talking about this morning, Buck, and talking about the tackling. And so I went into it, watch it. Okay, let's see who the culprit is. Well, man, there's a blood on a lot of people's hands. It is equal opportunity.
Everybody's
missing tackles in coverage. Thornhill's missing tackles. Porter's missing tackles. You name it, across the board. They could not tackle. And you guys are right. It's literally just dumping the ball on the flat to this freaking tight end. Kraft, they cannot get him on the ground.
Right.
They can't tackle him. So, that's a major, major, major problem. I don't know if that's getting better anytime soon.
Well, the one-on-one, I even if you go back to the Cincinnati game on Thursday night, they try to play man coverage.
Chase, there's nobody in the picture with Chase from last week. You could freeze it on the all 22, and he's the only body in the frame.
Everybody. It was Ramsey. It was, Slay. It was like, Porter. They all lined up and he got beat. And so you thought, okay, well, Green Bay doesn't have the same firepower, but, they went play action, under center, play action, max protect. They ran their speedo routes down there. Watson got 2 big plays. Dobbs got a couple. They did what they wanted to do offensively in the second half. And Pittsburgh, they could not play catch up once they lost that lead.
One thing I'll just add, and we'll move on to the next game. If you're going to try and find some positive for Pittsburgh here, Roman Wilson's shown signs the last few weeks, and he did some nice things in this game. He ended up with 474 and a touchdown. He a lot of quick hitters, as you were referencing, quick outs. But then you see, hit a deep ball. He's open for 10 seconds on the touchdown. I mean, Aaron just kind of took a while to get to him in the back of the end line there. But he's somebody who can give you some run after catch. He can give you, some stuff down the field as well. So that was, trying to find somebody to go pair up with DK. I think that's at least a positive from the Pittsburgh side of things. Let's get to, I think the most impressive win of the weekend. And that was Denver and what they did to Dallas, 44-24, just dismantled the Cowboys, man.
It's to dismantle the defense. They can't stop the run or pass. I mean, they just had to figure out what they wanted to do and how they wanted to attack. But man, give Sean Payton credit. One, they need to always just play in their throwback uniforms. I don't know why they would ever go back to their regular uniforms. The throwbacks are classic. It reminded me of being a kid watching Rick Upchurch return punts coming home from church. So I think they need to stay with that. But in watching the way they're able to run the football effectively, J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey getting busy, Bo Nix having a terrific game, finding his rhythm. This is the offense that Sean Payton wants because it perfectly complements how they played that suffocating defense on the other side.
Sean Payton, he's ruthless, man. The Cowboys line up a free agent, corner out there. They took turns lining up on him, including Pat Bryant catches his first touchdown pass this season right before the end of the half. I mean, they went right after him. Like every single guy, whether Troy Franklin or, Pat Bryant or Cortland Sutton, they just abused him. They put him on the other side of the field after, the first half. It didn't make any difference. They found him and they just exploited it. But the Cowboys don't really do anything well defensively. Like they don't even know, it's just setting a simple edge so that every back that carries a ball, whether it's JK or RJ, they're not just hitting the corners like these soft edges, and then it's just the run fits. Like nothing looks like it's being worked on that side. I know they got a bunch of young guys playing. I get that, but still, they can't do the basics right now of just playing gap defense.
Yeah, it goes back to, Bucky and I were up there at camp together, Baldy, and just watching the Rams carve them up like a turkey. And it was like, well, the Rams passing offense is really, really good, or this secondary has got major, major concerns for the Cowboys. Turns out it's a little bit of both, when you get right down to it. But I want to touch on two things. One, the two young guys that stood out. RJ Harvey, there was so much attention. We talked about it all in the lead up to the draft that Sean Payton used the term joker. He wanted to find his joker. He's always worked inside out in New Orleans, whether it was the back, the tight ends, the slot receivers. They've always kind of liked to work in that portion of the field. He wanted a mismatch player. And I saw a video the other day with Breeze, and they asked him who's the best weapon that he's ever played with. And he said Sproles. Because those are the matchups. Nobody can cover that guy. Right. And now you've got somebody who's got the juice and the burst, and RJ Harvey. They're going to figure out more ways to unlock him, but seeing him get loose a little bit, popping a run on a toss. He had 7 for 46, 2 touchdowns. So that's their joker. Then Troy Franklin, you mentioned his name briefly, Baldy, going through his stuff. He's playing really good in instinctive in space. Like for a guy who was a speed guy coming out, he's figuring out ways to kind of work in soft spots and zones. And
DJ, what's the route when he goes from the bunch formation across the formation, and then he rounds about 25 yards down the field into the end zone and never stops?
Nobody there. Yeah. Nobody there to touch him. And that's why I just wrote down. On my notes, I've got a bunch of stuff where he just kind of, I don't label them as routes. I'm just like, there's just kind of it was Mike Leach's offense, which was always just go find grass. Yeah, go grab grass. Just find out where there's some open space and go grab it. But that's what he's doing. So I went back and pulled up my Troy Franklin note. So he was coming out. He was 6'0", so just under 6'2", 176 pounds. So rail thin. Yeah. Ran 4.41. And my notes on him: tall, lean, explosive. He can win against press with quicks. He's sudden. He's clean out of breaks. A lot of fades. Tracks the ball easy. A lot of home runs. Had some drops in traffic, but really, we talk about like we used to call it the blood area. Like, do you work in the blood area of the field? That's not really what you don't really need him to do that. He does not run at full speed into anybody. So he's able to get the ball vertically down the field. But I think Sean Payton and their group, give him credit. They've got him to get a really good feel for working in some of these soft spots, Baldy.
Well, the soft spots were easy to find because there's zero.
They're plentiful.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of soft spots, DJ. But the touchdown that you were referenced here to Troy Franklin, like the Cowboys came, Marquise Bell off the edge, 5-man rush, like literally, Bo Nix could have checked his Snapchat right there, like, and just seeing you like, okay, like he had all day for that thing it takes time. That's a route that Tua used to throw to Tyreek Hill, and you need time for that thing to go. And literally, I mean, he double pumped, he hitched, he had all kinds of time to make those. So he dropped back 29 times, no sacks, one quarterback hit. Like basically, his uniform was just as clean at the end of the game as it was to start the game.
I want to ask you both this. Buck hit it, and then Baldy followed up. But I saw Sean Payton after the game. I saw some of his sound, and he said, they really challenged their defense, that this was going to be a good offense that they were going up against. And he said, I thought our defense got the better of their offense. And he goes, and of course, on the other side, I mean, it wasn't even close. Like that was how, like, borderline arrogant that he talked about what they did to the Cowboy defense. But I want to ask you guys, you both played in the league, and I know that some of the coaches you played for, but it seems to me Sean Payton is one of the most confident, borderline cocky coaches in this league. And does that permeate through your team when the guy at the very top is that confident, Buck?
Yeah, I would say yes. And I would say the most confident coach that I ever played for was Marty Schottenheimer. And there were times that he would just stand up and matter-of-factly say, we're going to beat this team. We're going to whoop them doing X, Y, and Z. And depending on the maturity of your team, some teams can handle getting that information and being like, oh, okay, coach says we got it. We just need to follow the plan, and this is what it's going to be. And I think for Sean, Sean knows the storm that's coming. And that storm is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. And they're going to have to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs 1 or 2 times to be able to secure the division. And that is going to require an unbelievable level of confidence for a team that still is fairly young on both sides of the ball. I think he's trying to convey that to get them to step into that confidence that, hey, man, we're one of the heavyweights in the AFC.
Who'd you play for, Baldy? Who was the most confident coach you played for?
Well, I mean, Landry was confident because we were so well prepared.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but, he also wore us out with a lot like Marty did, for all those years. I mean, they just wear you out with the meetings and preparation. Eventually, players just want to go play.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't like cover every single stone, uncover every stone. But that's how Landry was. So we were very well prepared for what we were going to do. But he would lay out the plan every Wednesday. This is what we need to do this week to win this game. And, and so like the plan was set on Wednesday, and then you just perfected the plan all week long.
Well, you can tell they've got a very confident team that's playing really well, both sides of the ball there in Denver.
What was interesting about that game, though, to me, DJ, was Cortland Sutton is by far the number 1 receiver. He was like a decoy all day.
Yeah, they didn't need him.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, you had to. It's tough though. You got to pick between the other 3 guys that are wide open. That can be difficult with the quarterback. The challenge for Bo Nix. Baldy, you were at the Giant Philly game there, so I'll let you take the lead here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the second play, Saquon went 65. Now, the longest run before that run all year long was 18 yards, and so we were. They blocked it. It was a perfectly blocked run, including Devontae Smith gets a good block on the corner. Landon Dickerson looked healthy, but they unleashed the running game. It was like they had never done all year. But I remember talking to Petula before the game, and I was just asking him about, where's your toss sweeps, where's your pin and pulls, and boy, they ran them right and they ran them left, and and they got some good blocks on the outside, and they turned it loose. Tank Bigsby had 100, and Saquon, they didn't even play Saquon this fourth quarter. I mean, he could have had 200 yards rushing. So, they uncorked that. But it's really the evolution of this offense. It started in Minnesota with play action passes, with Jalen under center getting some shots. They continued that. Then you got the pin and pull and the run game, and here they are going into the bye week at 6-2, and it's a tough schedule coming out. But you can see how this thing is just gradually coming together, and they're going to be a juggernaut, come the second half of the season.
What's Jurgens' status? Is he how long is he out?
Well, I don't know how long he is out, but I'll say this Brett Toth.
He pulled his butt off in this game. Now Saquon he almost has to push him in the back a little bit because he's kind of waiting for him on some of those things, but they were moving him all over the place. And that's why I'm saying that got the run game going. And I thought he played well, but then I can also look at it and say Jurgens is just so much quicker than him that I think that stuff, some of those might even pop even.
Well, I mean, Jurgens can make all those blocks that we saw Toth, but he's their, he'd been a swing guard center. And so he played some guard. But I thought his best position, he's got really strong hands. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was going into the tunnel after kind of doing a walk before the game, at the beginning of the walk. And I see Stout down there and he's yelling. He's like, get those young bastards out here. Like, we got to go to work. And so Toth is one of those guys, he loves working his guys out before the game, but he played really well. He's a good young player, man.
But I got to ask you this, because there's been so much made, not only about the Eagles doing this, but more teams going under center, not only for the play action benefits, but how does it benefit the run game?
Well, I mean, because you don't know if it's going to be a run or pass. And if you're going to hand it off, I think Saquon likes being 8 yards deep, Bucky. Like, it just gives him a little bit more vision for cutback runs and things like that. So it's a good change rather than just being a point of entry back out of the shotgun. So I think it's good for the back. And then, when he does get that, he's got a little better head of steam coming, to hit the hole a little bit harder, a little bit faster than normal. And then I think that the play action pass off it right there, it just allows the routes to get deeper down the field. And, you can set your protections, whether it's max protection or chipping off the edges, so that the quarterback can kind of set and, really get a pretty good aerial view down the field.
Baldy, with the running backs you played with, I got to believe stylistically everybody's kind of has their own style, but I was going through Barkley and Bigsby, and I thought Barkley kind of stayed true to the call, pressing it, and then if a cutback was there, it was there. But I'm watching Bigsby, and I'm like, he's just a pure daylight runner. I don't know wherever it's designed, wherever he sees or feels daylight, he will abandon that and go find daylight. As an offensive lineman, I mean, they're both went over 100 yards. They're both successful in this game. But is it interesting just blocking for different guys, how they hit things a little different?
No, it is different. It's different. Like, Bigsby he's kind of like a more like Gainwell's a good player, and Gainwell was that role for the last 4 years. He's doing that in Pittsburgh now, but this guy has, I think he's more of a bowling ball than Gainwell. He's more powerful. And so, but he does explode out of his, Bucky, just down in Jacksonville, but he does explode. He had a couple good kickoff returns as well. But, when he sees the daylight now, he gets to it quickly.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for him down in Jacksonville, he had a hard time not being anointed the number one guy. And I think it's very clear for him in Philadelphia to know, I'm not going to be the number one with Saquon Barkley there. So he's probably more accepting of the role as the number two. But I can tell you this, he gives you a power back. He's physical. And when he is dialed in and really taking care of the ball, he's a guy that can be a 1A, 1B type player. And the Eagles being able to bring him in, it allows them not have to change their offense. When they want to go downhill, smash mouth, Barkley, Bigsby. I think it's going to help Saquon Barkley more to have a guy that is a starting caliber running back behind him instead of the drastic drop-off that they used to have with a change of pace back.
I'll say this about Jalen. In the last 2 games now, he's got 9 incompletions and 7 touchdowns. Like, people can debate, what ranking he is and quarterbacks. Like, all the guy does is he takes care of the football and he wins a lot of football games. And that's all he's ever done. And people might not like his style, might not look like some of the gunslingers in this league, but man, that guy is he's hard to knock out right now.
I think they've kind of mastered, and Sirianni, I give him a lot of credit for this. They've kind of mastered understanding the difference between the regular season and the postseason. The regular season is about your floor. It's don't make mistakes and play at that consistent. You'll win a lot of games by not giving games away in the regular season. Now, when you get in the postseason, there's going to be times where Jalen's going to have to throw it more. You got to be more aggressive, and you got to play it a little bit differently, which they've proven they can do that. But I think they've got a pretty good understanding of how to handle, talk about baseball. Like, you got to handle the 162, and then there's October. Those are two different sports. To some degree, I think at the quarterback position, I think there's something to that as well, and they've done a nice job with that. All right, Buck, this one I think is I'll say the surprise. If Denver was the most impressive win of the week, this clearly was a surprise to me. And not necessarily even that the Jets beat the Cincinnati Bengals, but the fact that the Jets hung 39 on the board with what we'd seen from their offense. That was a heck of a first win there for Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, look, a great first win. And I'll say this about the Jets, like coming in. They had 4 games where they lost. They were within a score. A couple of those were 2-point games that they lost. And so even though the sky was seemingly falling in New York, if you really did a deep dive in terms of how they were playing, it wasn't as bad as it appeared. Cincinnati was like the perfect opponent for them because their defense is awful and their defense has been trash. And so at a time when your much maligned quarterback was desperate, didn't even know if he was going to start until Tyrod Taylor was ruled out, he found a way to have some confidence, made a couple plays. They got the ball to Breece Hall's hands, and then they just made enough plays to win a game. Now, what does this do for them beyond that? I don't know, but I think it speaks a little bit about the resilience of some of the players, but more about the Cincinnati Bengals. What are we doing? They let a really good defensive coordinator walk out the door, and Al Golden is good, but man, they put a lot of blame on Lou Anarumo, and all I do is I look over at Indianapolis, and they are balling out on defense.
I watched this game. I had to do some breakdowns for the Jets. They ran the ball 37 times for 254 yards, by far the most all year. And this Isaiah, I don't know what you had on Isaiah Davis, DJ, coming out of is he South Dakota State?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that guy had the longest play from scrimmage for the Jets this year. I mean, it was a weak side slant. He went 50, and he hit a burst. I didn't know he had that burst, but he went 50. And then a couple plays later, Breece Hall was like, well, I could do that too. And he went for 35. And so I thought they were down 15 late in the third quarter. They're down 14 in the fourth quarter. And if that defense, and good luck, telling me who their starters are, the guys that are on the field in that game, because you got Azariah Thomas out there. You got Marinoa out there. Like, you got a lot of guys that, I don't think people know who they are, but they got 2 stops at the end of the game. They got the ball back to the offense. That's Joe Flacco and Jamar and T and all the whole group out there. And they made 2 stops to go down there and do it. They got their 2-point conversions. Breece popped a 27-yard touchdown run to cut it to, 1 touchdown. And I don't know really who some of these receivers are, Tyler Smith and, some of these guys that they had out there. But, I mean, Justin hit him in stride a couple of times, man.
I got to find what year this is, because now it's going to bug me, because I know I've got him here. What Isaiah? It's Isaiah Davis, right?
Isaiah Davis. He came out with Braylon Allen. So it was last
24,
year.
24, right?
24.
All right. Now I'm going to find him right now. I think pulling him up here.
He might have been third or 4th round, DJ.
Yeah, Isaiah Davis right here. Here we go. 6'002", 218 pounds, ran 4.57. Choppy feet, lateral quicks. They use him in some wildcat stuff in the red zone, can bounce off tackles, runs a little high, but he'll step through, attack and smother linebackers and pass pro. So that was some of my notes on him.
They called a play on a shallow cross for him on like 3rd and 7, like one of those, crossers, like 2 from one side, 1 from the other. And, just ran through some traffic. They called the play for the guy, out of the spot. I'm like, all right, good call.
We used to call that bopper. So you'd have like the backs going opposite. So you'd have like a back or a tight end and a back. And so they'd be going like this. So you'd read it. You'd have a little sit route over the middle of the field, Baldy. And it was just, hey, if it's zone, I'm going to just take whoever's sitting down here. And if it's man, you're going to get a little bit of a rub there.
You get a rub. Yeah.
I missed more than my fair share of that back, just wide open out there in the flat. Simple throw. Hey, either one, raise your hand if you want to take this one though. How do you go in this ball game and have one quarterback hit when you're the Cincinnati Bengals? They touched the quarterback one time in this game. I know we've talked about the coordinator thing. I know we've talked about, okay, they got some roster stuff, but that almost speaks to me like it's a cultural issue a little bit. Like, how hard are you guys playing? I don't care who you got up there. You got to be able to touch the quarterback more than once.
They got 2 rookie linebackers in there right now. Trey Hendrickson, if he played, you would not know that he played. He was out there, but I mean, he had no impact whatsoever. I mean, everybody's been beating Fasciano the last couple of weeks. Like he's really struggled out there in pass protection, but he didn't have any problem locking guys up. And I thought they went max. They maxed it up a little bit. That kind of helped, but I mean, you didn't see any of those guys make and really any kind of blitzes or anything where you just getting some speed to the quarterback, just a free hitter. You didn't see any kind of overloads like that. But maybe they're sitting with a 14, 15-point lead and in the third quarter thinking we'll just keep it in front of us and, we'll just rush 4. I mean, that was part of the idea until it was too late.
Yeah, but even in that, they don't play like they need to play. In a division that is known for being rough and rugged, the Bengals don't necessarily bring that all the time. And that effort, that energy, and I know we eventually talk about Baltimore either today or tomorrow, but that has to be there when you're in these critical situations. They're not at a point where they can take a game off and say, oh, we're still going to go to the playoffs. So the urgency has to be there, particularly on a defense that's playing against a struggling quarterback. You got to get after it.
I'll give the fullback. Who is it? Beck, 47.
Yeah,
nice blocks in that game too on some of those big runs. I thought their tight ends hung in there and blocked pretty well. We had talked earlier.
The call at the end by the halfback pass Breece Hall to Mason Taylor. Like that
was too easy of a joke because when the owner comes out and says we can't complete a pass, and then here's Breece Hall throwing a touchdown to win you the game.
It was one of the uglier passes I've seen, but he gave Mason Taylor a chance.
He finished it too. All right, let's get one more game. We'll send Baldy on his way here. Chicago, Baltimore. Again, Baldy, we were chatting this morning. We can go wherever you want to go. We can go good Baltimore defense. We can go bad Bears quarterback play, whatever you want to go.
I'll start like Snoop Huntley, man. Snoop played great, and he had 10 really good throws in that game, and he got it to all the wide receivers. They kind of pulled out, like Keaton Mitchell was kind of a forgotten guy all year long.
I always like him, man. Does he ever play bad?
Like either nobody knows how fast he is because they take the wrong angles, but he turns the corner 3 different times in that game. One for 25 yards, pops a run on the outside. Then you got Charlie Kolar, who's doing the old, just sneaking across the formation, wide open in the end zone. And then you got Nuke, who basically has been a forgotten guy, but on 3rd and 7 with a 1-score game, they throw back shoulder to Nuke, and he comes up with a big play to extend the drive and play keep away from Chicago. I thought that was all really impressive. And then they blitzed the hell out of Caleb. I mean, whether it was Roquan or whether it was Hamilton, like they got after it pretty good. And because even Mike Green got his first sack, but I thought they got after Caleb pretty good and never really let him get comfortable.
What I liked about the Baltimore Ravens is they got back to business in terms of who they are. And I always feel like there are certain franchises that when they're backed into a corner, they go back to the identity that's been long established in their franchise. They ran the football. They played rough and rugged defense. They got after it. It appeared their defensive plan was very simple so they could get back to playing fast and physical. And I love that. The only question that I ever have about Baltimore Ravens is why would you go get a backup quarterback that stylistically is so different than your starting quarterback? Because then you see Snoop Huntley playing the offense that was originally built for Lamar Jackson, and the offense continues to roll. I just wonder what the thought process was because it never really logically fit where Cooper Rush would be the backup to Lamar Jackson when Snoop Huntley and other athletic quarterbacks have been serviceable fits behind him.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I haven't really heard people talk much about it either. I think it's an excellent point. 2 things for me on this. Number one, I don't think you can overstate how important it was on the first drive to get a stop because Chicago moved right down the field. And that's Ben Johnson. That is his MO, man. They come out the gates, wherever he is, they come out the gates smoking. And you got a Ravens defense that's lacking in confidence. You get a lot of pieces back. Roquan being back in there was huge. We'll get to that. But for them to march right down the field, and then I believe Chicago had a penalty inside the 10 that maybe bumped them back a little bit. They end up getting, I think that's where they got the sack. And they get a stop on that first series, force a 3. So that was huge to me. It was just kind of like, okay, it's not a here we go again. We can't stop anybody, take the air out of the balloon, so to speak. And then Roquan Baldy, we were talking about this morning. That was one of the more fun watches for me this morning, was going through and watching what he did. I know you got a chance to see him too, but he is we talk about force multipliers. Like, it's not only what he does, it's what he brings. It was impressive.
Yeah, he lit him up. He lit him up pretty good. That'd been a pretty good running attack. They popped a couple runs, but Monangai and DeAndre Swift, like, there wasn't the lanes that they had been getting the last 2 games when Swift went over 100 yards in both previous games. I thought the play of the game was Nate Wiggins, though. I mean, they only have 2 interceptions all year. Wiggins has it. It's a dig route to Odunze, and Caleb's looking at him all the way. He's got good time.
Great play.
And Wiggins, I mean, I don't know what he ran. Did he run
4.2s?
4.2s?
4.2s, yeah.
You see 4.2 because he's done his upfield shoulder buck, and he's trailing him, and then you just see this burst, and he runs right in front of Odunze, and that set him up for, it was a 1-score game. It's a second down play. You could stop him right there, and Chicago's going to get good field position, 23-16, and that really turned the whole game around right there.
4.28.
4.28. That looked 4.28.
And here's the thing, because normally you end up being critical of the wide receiver for drifting up the field, but I can't even say that Rome Odunze ran a bad route. It was nice and flat. It was a great play by Nate Wiggins to do it. And even though people have talked about Caleb and the throw wasn't off the mark. I felt like it was a better play than throw. It was just a great play by Nate Wiggins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about maybe a foot. It could have been a foot more out in front, but I think he gets it either way because Wiggins was tracking it so well. Yeah. He had the back and the flat. He could have taken it. I can see. Just to me, we always talk about this, Baldy, Bucky, and I always go back to what a coach that I had would always take the quarterbacks before the game. We'd always walk the field. And so we'd always say, like, okay, we're starting at our own, like, 5. Okay, we got a possession that starts here. First thing is we're getting a first down to help the punter. We're extra cautious with the ball. You kind of moved. Okay, we're in the middle of the field now. We might be thinking about a shot. Okay, now we're in here. Don't take a sack. Well, we're in field goal range. Like, that's just like a situation. I'm hoping that Caleb, the more he's in these situations, he's going to realize, okay, like, it's a 1-score game. We got a chance to go down and get the lead. Yeah. One thing we got to do is we got to get a first down before we get a touchdown. Let's not get greedy. I just thought he was pushing that ball a little bit instead of just taking the back. Let's get a first down. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I'm hopeful because some of this stuff keeps popping up with him. I'm hoping that it's just an experience thing and he's going to kind of learn and grow from it.
Now you see the talent does show. Like some of the throws he made getting out of a jam and on the run, and some of his movement is like crazy, but it's just not. Sometimes just the easy throws, he makes it look difficult.
Yeah, he had a deep ball he missed. Look, you can cut up 10 plays and show 10 huge throws, big time throws, but then there's just some of those layups you just want to see him make, including towards the end of the game when he changed his arm angle I didn't know they necessarily needed to change his arm angle on that one, and the ball misses Odunze, who's wide open in the back of the end zone. But Odunze continued to play well. He had 7 for $114. He's on pace for 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns. So Rome Odunze's having a really nice year there. But that was a big win for the Ravens. And all of a sudden, this team that was 1-5, you look up in this division and how Pittsburgh's playing and Cleveland and Cincinnati, and you're like, you guys might have left the door open for the Ravens.
Back in there. And you got Ricard back in there now. He's like, all of a sudden you can see this thing. You can see the Ravens coming out of this crypt. I mean, it's week to week, but you can see them coming out of this thing right now.
Yeah, no question. Baldy, last thing that I'll let you run. This league this year, we were talking about the Patriots, and we'll get to them in tomorrow's episode with Bucky and myself, but the schedule this year, maybe more so than any other, there's a good number of bad teams, and your schedule is an important factor in how far you're going to go this year. Some of these teams are on the express right to the playoffs. Well,
New England's right in the middle of it right now, because they just whipped Cleveland, and Atlanta is they got them at home, and you could just see them stacking these wins. They got a big game in Tampa, and then they got the Jets in Cincinnati. Like, they're seeing some of these teams that are at the bottom of just the bottom of the barrel right now. But, you get one, like, I don't know what I got to watch Atlanta have. So I don't want to jump ahead of myself here, but they've had some real stinkers and clunkers here during the course of the season.
Yeah, that's to say the least. All right. Hey, this has been fun, Baldy. Love these Mondays each and every
Thanks,
week. We
guys.
appreciate your time, man. We'll see you next
Appreciate
week. Well, Buck, it's always great to have Baldy, man. Good chance to break these games down, and kind of a different week, right? We didn't have quite as many games, so a chance to lock in on the ones we did have.
Yeah, absolutely. And with a smaller slate, smaller menu, you're able to kind of dive a little deeper into those games because you had a chance to see all of those games instead of flipping around. So it was a great weekend, and I'm looking forward to more bye weeks so we can kind of narrow our focus a little bit.
Yeah, and by the way, in the 40 or so minutes we've been doing this, I don't think a college coach was fired. So, hey, we made it 40 minutes without somebody getting whacked. Good night. Dropping like flies, brother.
DJ, there are a lot of great jobs. Who's going to take all these jobs?
Like, apparently Lane gets all of them. I think Lane's coaching the 4 teams next year.
Who are going to get all of these jobs? It's crazy because if it's not Lane, it's Marcus Freeman. They keep citing, and I'm like,
yeah,
Marcus Freeman is going to leave
Notre Dame. I don't think anybody's going to leave Notre Dame.
Yeah. So what are we talking about?
No, hey, it's a good day to be Clark Lee. I promise you that. It's you hear his name too now. What they're doing, Andy. They're not messing around.
Man.
So,
man,
I know one thing. A lot of dudes are going to get opportunities for jobs, or they're going to get opportunities for raises where they are, and that is a good time to be a good college coach right now.
That's good. That's a good spot to be in for sure.
No question. All right, that'll do it for us today. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Move the Sticks.